I have to be honest with you, I used to moderate and functional humans, that person was me. And it was.
Yeah, you got my vote. There's so many people on campus, a bunch of like all right. Well, thank you all for coming here tonight. Call this meeting of School Association Senate to order. Let's rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for doing that. Mr. Please call the roll. Baumeister. Present. Byrne. Butcher.
Here.
Kent.
Here.
Clausen. Here. Journey. Graham.
Here.
Halstead. Hill.
Here.
Jensen.
Here.
Jessen. King. Clobber.
Here.
Keel. Meyer.
Here.
Salcido.
Here.
Sattler.
Here.
Schaefer. Ascension.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Stolman. Severson. White.
Here.
Wright. Yermolovich.
Here.
All right, thank you, Mr. DC. We have no proxies this evening. I sent out the agenda earlier today. Did you all get a chance to take a look at it?
Yes.
Longer one. All right. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Objections? Agenda approved. Both sets of minutes were sent out for the last couple of weeks, the week prior and this past week. Any questions, comments, concerns about that? Seeing none, all in favor of approving both sets of minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Objections? Minutes are approved. Thank you all for doing that. Our first open floor guest tonight is Mayor Jason Sauron, Mayor of Rapid City. Take it away.
Over here. I don't know.
Wherever you could be up there if you want in the front. Or,
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you going with? I guess. How can I see everybody? That's all I care.
And this way I don't have to be on camera, right?
There you go.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. I was able to do this last year, I believe, and it was great. And you're becoming familiar faces, many of you are, until you graduate, I guess, and then hopefully we'll see you around town. I gotta say this, what a time to be alive in Rapid City. This is an incredible season in our city's history, and we are so grateful that you're a part of it. And one of the things I want to make sure I say up front, we are so proud of South Dakota Mines. We are the home of South Dakota Mines, home of the Rockers. We want to make sure that this is our school here in Rapid City. And if this school thrives and succeeds, Rapid City only does as well. And so we have great leadership with Dr. Tandy, as you probably know. He's a rock star. He's smart, common sense, all that stuff. I'm his hype man today. But we've just had so many great things. I mean, just today, I was just thinking about, just right before this meeting, I'm in a 2-hour meeting working on big deals for Rapid City, for businesses to come here and development to happen and redevelopment to happen and those sorts of things. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the big things that we have going on. I'll open it up to questions and answers at the end. Well, there are several big things, and I think you're pretty engaged. But I'll say this, 2026 is a big year for Rapid City. For one, it is 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and we intend for Rapid City to be a premier destination to celebrate America. Obviously, being in the shadows of Mount Rushmore, we have a deep veteran and military presence here. We're the city of presidents, red, white, blue all over the place. This is just the best of America. And we know there are several sites around the country that'll be big. Rapid City will be one of them. There'll be fireworks at Mount Rushmore. People will come from all over. It'll be a big deal. We're looking to stream that downtown during a festival that we're looking to put on. I think will be really cool. But one really cool thing is we're going to actually bring in a big-time drone show to tell the story of America. So that they use the drones, put them in the sky, set up all these arrangements. So obviously we have all these great parades and fireworks and all this stuff, parties planned, but that'll be a really pretty cool thing. But really all year round we want to celebrate this. And it really started with the recent Black Hills Stock Show and Rodeo. Over 300,000 people came for that. It's a big deal. And we were able to brand it as kind of the kickoff to our America 250 celebrations. And you'll see that all throughout the year, whether it's the rally or sports tournaments or a festival downtown. The other thing is it's 150 years since the founding of Rapid City this year. So we got that going. So we're going to unearth a time capsule that's due to come up here in 2026. And then a couple months later, we're going to bury one. And we're also, before we bury one, we want to take a big giant community photo downtown at Main Street Square, which we would love to have you in. That'll go into that time capsule that'll be buried for 50 years. So 50 years, most of you will still be around. I probably won't be. I'm 48. I could be, but probably won't be. But I think it would be pretty cool to see young people, kids, but also young adults like yourself in there that might be able to come back up someday and check that out. I think that'd be pretty cool. In 50 years, that'll be 200 years. So one of the biggest opportunities we have for Rapid City is to keep more of you here. Now, some of you are going to go on and do great things, okay? And some of your opportunities are going to take you other places. Some of you are from other places. You've come here to study. I hope while you're here that this feels like a community to you. And I want to make sure that we're creating an environment where there's more opportunity for graduates from the School of Mines to stay here. I think it's one of our best opportunities for our workforce challenges. And just so you know, those are things that I always think of. So for example, one of the things that happened last night was we approved a long-term plan that we've been working on, which is an airport terminal expansion project that we have because we were just crushing it at the airport. And so we needed more gates. And so we've been working on the first phase of that project. There's future phases within that project. 2, we need a new maintenance facility. We've outgrown ours, which is right over here. You can see it. Oh, which direction? Not over there. Over there. Right over there. And that has been long overdue. It's been terrible working conditions. we park heavy equipment outside in the hot sun in the cold winter, decreasing their lifespan, and those are like my maintenance superintendent says, that's like parking a bunch of Lamborghinis and Ferraris outside all year round. And we want to change that. And obviously we want to be able to work and maintain those. So we are relocating, and we got approved last night with our council to go out to the Black Hills Industrial Center across from the landfill. So what does that mean for School of Mines? Well, like I told Dr. Tandy, I'm going to work with our economic development partners. And okay, now when that happens, there's that land right there. How can that be best used to support the ecosystem that's around School of Mines? So if it's not directly the campus itself, what about the industries that will be interested in that? What about some of the other strategic initiatives that we have? Could that be leveled out and be used for higher, better use? Those are the kinds of things, like when you start to think about what you want, and this is a once in a generation opportunity, so you think about what could we do with that? And so there are going to be things like that we're going to have discussions on. I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be. It's just that part of our motivation, we needed a new maintenance facility. So then it would have been cheaper to build on site, I'll be honest with you. But what if that had a different purpose? And those are the kinds of things we're thinking about in Rapid City. We're trying to think long term, generations from now. The benefit of that will be long after I'm mayor. Nobody even remember I was part of the conversation. But what I want to make sure is that we leverage this asset we have here at the School of Mines, which is a big deal. Another big project we're working on, one of my biggies, is an indoor sports facility, a sports complex. We are, of course, we have actually quite a bit of the funding already, $43 million to be exact, towards that, in addition to other funding that's coming. We anticipate needing about $60 million. We recently had a vote for a destination district that was, of course, turned down, but the bummer for us was the sports complex actually received some benefit and infrastructure costs from that development, so that's a little bit of a gap that we have to make up. So part of the conversations I'm having recently is all these groups want us to build it there, because if we build it somewhere, all these other places are going to build around it. So we're looking at the existing site, which still makes a ton of sense, and it's what we know. It's the least risky. But right now I'm trying to be as open-minded as I can to all these other groups and developers who say, hey, what if you built it here? What if you put it there? And I say, well, show me the money. If you can show me the money, we can have a conversation. But whatever is in the best interest of Rapid City. And that's a big deal. Why that's a big deal is not just for our enjoyment for our locals, which is great. But the idea is that Rapid City becomes a year-round tourist destination. Obviously the weather's colder in the wintertime. We get 3.9 million visitors in the summer and the shoulder season around the summer, but we need things happening every weekend here, filling our hotel rooms and all of that. We have this capacity, and so what can we do for conventions, sports tournaments, the arts, all of those kind of things, I think really can help us bolster this all year round. And when you do that, that creates all sorts of other opportunities for the kind of shopping and entertainment. I can tell you, just where we're putting this sports complex, I got a Dave & Buster's type of place that wants to come. You get people are like, hey, what if we built an IMAX theater next to it? All of those things like become possibilities. Wherever we do that, that's year-round stuff for things for people who are here to do, but also our visitors to do. In addition, we have the best thing ever, which is the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. So we're looking at those kinds of projects, which are a very big deal. From 2020 to 2024, in the city limits of Rapid City alone, we grew by over 10,000 people. We are one of the fastest growing cities in the Midwest, and our numbers still remain strong. And so that brings opportunities, it brings challenges that come with it. But that's what I'm excited about. I think the growth is a challenge, but it's also bringing in new opportunities. So we got to get ahead on some of the challenges, would be like housing and issues like that, making sure we're staying in front of the growth, like police officers. When I was, just a few years ago, before I was mayor, we were down about 35 police officers. Now we're close to fully staffed with plans to add 12 more in the next year. That helps with our public safety front. And why that helps is our police, of course, enforce the law. but we can't prevent it all. That's where I always say public safety starts in the heart and the home. A lot of the issues police deal with are the symptoms of other social issues. So we need obviously a lot of efforts there. And then you have a criminal justice system. How's the parole program, the probation program? How are the jails and the prisons and all of that? Those are part of it. What do we do with addiction treatment for those who are struggling with addiction? I think much of our crime is tied to addiction. So we constantly work on those various treatment options. And not all of it should the government do, but certainly try to encourage those kind of efforts wherever we can. So a lot going on, and I know you have a full agenda tonight, and I want to leave time for questions and answers, but I want you to know when I think about what matters, you come to mind quite often for me. It's pretty special what you have here, and the fact that I recognize so many faces here, I think that's a unique thing for our community. You are actually leading, which means you're taking initiative. You're not waiting to be asked, you are going. You are saying we're part of this community, we're showing up, and we're asking to meet. I can tell you last summer, some of you guys, we hopped on a Zoom call even, like what can we do to better serve our community? And then I see you showing up to our council meetings, and I see you engaged in public forums like with the TIF debate. I see you actually doing things. And that's the thing about leadership. A lot of people talk about leadership, but the actually doing things, actually taking initiative and having ideas and actually being proactive, if you carry that with you throughout your career and your life, you will succeed, because so few people wait. They just wait to be asked. They wait until someone gives them permission. You have all the permission you need to lead right now. You're leaders right now. You don't wait till you have a title. Your purpose runs deeper than a position. So whatever you're learning right now tells me about the kind of leader, the kind of professionals, the kind of human beings that you're going to be in the future. And that's what you are. You're all brilliant. You're all smarter than me. They say don't be the smartest person in the room. That's why I'm here. It makes me feel better. I recognize that. My thing is leadership, and I love coaching and teaching, those kind of things. That stuff that gets me fired up. I want you to meet your potential. And the fact that you're taking time out of your schedule to be here as part of the Senate, to learn about this, to hear from all sorts of amazing things, and then taking actual steps is quite remarkable. Because I can tell you the average person doesn't do that. But you're not average people. You're exceptional people. And you should always strive to be exceptional. Drive for excellence. Make things even better. Better for a community that you live in, for sure, better for your families, better for you and your organizations, wherever you are. So I want to encourage you with that. Lead well. And if you're going to lead, expect this. Expect the wind in your face. If you're going to do anything worthwhile, you will have resistance. You're moving forward, you will have resistance. That's not a sign for you to stop. That might be a sign that you're going in the right direction. And it's hard, but you do it anyways, and that's how you get stronger, that's how you get better. If you have a bold vision with clear values that give you guardrails to make sure that you're not doing it the wrong way, you move forward. So know what those values are, that the guardrails, with a vision to move forward, and you will always do the right thing. And so I'm proud to be here with you, exceptional leaders, and I look forward to seeing the great things you're going to do in your life and how you leave things better than you found it, which at the end of the day is what we all pray that we do. So with that, questions, topics, whatever.
Senator Meyer.
So we were just talking earlier about like having some of us on the committees for the American 250 planning and stuff like that. And I was just curious, because we're going to try and make it the biggest and most beautiful celebration in the world.
I like what you did there.
And, you know, well, I did that because President Trump is coming, right, on the July 3rd. What are some things from the city's perspective that you think could make Rapid City the best city and representing South Dakota and Rapid City in front of the president?
Well, first of all, I think treating each other with respect, my one, if I have a concern about, and this isn't just for Rapid City, this is kind of celebrations this summer, is it seems like the things that should unite us are the things that divide us. And so I think you'll see opposition. But what we can do, of course, besides, hey, let's try to be cool, the red, white, and blue should unite us all, which that should be all over the place. We should have plenty of activities for people from all walks of life. And I think those sort of things would be great in really celebrating the best of America, us having hospitality, being grateful that people are here, patient with, we talk about, that's a lot of people that come here every year, so traffic gets worse, it's all a little bit of a challenge, but just soak it in. These are special moments. These are unique times when you have milestones. By the way, that's a blessing of life. You celebrate milestones. I know it could just be another day, but celebrate the milestones. Life's hard. Celebrate milestones, achievements, steps along the way. The same is true with our country. We're still a young country. And so, philosophically, I want us to get along. But I think all these events that people, and it's not just events, ideas I've had. I've tried to say, hey, get involved. Let's hear what everybody has to do. And you have budget constraints and everything else. I'd love to see more sponsorship to allow us to do bigger things. I think it's a challenge. So that's a couple things.
Senator Jimson.
So I just want to make a comment. I'll try to keep it brief. But with you said that you want people from School of Mines to join the community after they graduate, right? Like you see that as a big.
I would love that.
Yeah. Well, one thing is that the kids here at School of Mines, one of the personality types that's very common here is they're going to come to the school and they're going to lock in for 4 years. And they're not going to really engage in community here because they're going to be kind of tucked away in this corner of school. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that's very much a personality type I see. And students don't really want to stay in the community because they haven't really made connections. And like for President Bostad, he's made a lot of connections in the community. And this is just a question for you to make a point. Would you consider staying here for maybe a year or two after you graduate?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. But that's because he's put a lot of time and effort into making those connections in the community. And I think that students here aren't aware of the connections they can make in the community. Like they're not aware of like the public, like the theaters they could go to, or like the religious groups that they can join, or stuff like that.
So what I hear from you is one thing as a community we can do is make sure that we're sharing those opportunities with you to get connected. I graduated high school here in Rapid City, and then I left. I signed up for the Air Force and was stationed in Colorado Springs at overseas deployment. What's also true in the military is also true here. You're pretty locked into your mission. And you can stay on base. In fact, we have people at Ellsworth right now stay on base. When they're not working, hanging out with their buddies, they're playing video games in their dorm rooms. Just like you. Just like you. And they're spending most of their time working. Serious. Some of the stuff they have to do for young people is pretty intense. And the same was true when I was in. So what you have to do, and what I would encourage you to encourage your classmates to do, is to get involved. So if you are participating in something, it is cheap, free, and easy to invite someone to come with you. Hey, I'm going to go check out this play. Or hey, I'm going to go do a tryout to be in a play. Hey, I'm coming to church. Hey, you want to come with me? Hey, I'm going to join this dodgeball league. You want to come with me? I'm going to go to this concert downtown at Main Street Square. You want to come with me? I hear there's a new restaurant. You want to come with me? Hey, Chick-fil-A is about to open up next year, by the way, about a year away. I'm talking to them about another location tomorrow. Forget Chick-fil-A. Do you want to come with me? And all of those invitations. Some people are afraid to make a request just to be like, hey man, you want to go do this with me? And even if you don't know them very well, or they're probably going to say no. So we just say no for other people so we don't bother asking. Don't ever say no for other people. Or else none of you are ever going to get married. You have to take a risk. You've got to be willing to take a risk, and so, so whether it's a friend or whether it's a date, whatever the case may be, you have to make a request. In fact, I just said, don't say no. We're going into a meeting for the sports complex, and I'm like, you know, a lot of people want us to put this on their thing, so I'm gonna start asking for more. My staff's like, well, they're probably not gonna do that. I'm not gonna I'm gonna make them tell me no. I'm gonna try to get the most that I can out for this community. So that invitation's big, but I think the community making sure that as we have outreach, because we try to do outreach to Ellsworth, outreach to our schools, not just to Western Dakota Tech, Black Hills State. We have nursing programs here, you know, outreach to our Native American community, or outreach to kids that are still in school. And most people are so busy, they're just not engaged in anything in real life. I mean, our voter turnouts are not great, you know, so they're just, so I can go on, but I think that's some great, and it's a good reminder about the personality type. The thing that makes you successful is that ability to lock on, because it's intense. But you have to be able to take a step back every once in a while so you can step back into it.
Senator Halsted.
I gotta know, because of the crazy weather, like the windstorms, and even, you know, we're gonna have a really dry summer for this 250 event, and I gotta know how that affects your position, your decisions with the amazing opportunities that are coming at us.
Yeah. This year has been, weather-wise, I've lived here a long time.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. This is the most bizarre weather I've seen. People say in history, but then I have people tell me other stories from like the 40s and 50s. So everything's cyclical. So it's not like unprecedented. People say unprecedented times. Things have happened before, even here. I'm concerned about the fire danger. We have a fire department. We have hills. We have those sorts of things. I get concerned about that. This recent windstorm, we had the 80 to 100 mile per hour winds, and then we had a secondary one that took some of the vulnerable stuff. We've collected, I forget what the exact amount of tonnage of debris just in the city, but we had all hands on deck. It's like an emergency operations center. What can we do? How do we help people have a place for them to dump their trees and their debris? And our landfill got damaged, but we also have to take in all the stuff from everybody else's stuff too. So it's tough. We have to rack up all of our, how much is all this costing us so that we can provide it to the state, who provides it to the president, to get an emergency declaration. Make sure that anybody who's vulnerable and needs help, I don't want some old lady with a tree in her front yard. How do we, when we hear about those things, that's where the community really rallies. You have these groups around the community that really step up in that time. But this weather has always got me concerned. I'm getting concerned that when the water comes, the moisture comes, snow or rain, it's gonna come bad. And we've had floods here before too.
Yeah.
And so that, I love warm weather. I'm loving this February. Tomorrow it'll be cold, so I guess we're due. But debts always get paid, so I always say it's gonna come, and it's gonna swing this other direction, and then we'll have some years where it's nice and level. But yeah, I can't control it. I'm sure some of you are studying how to control the weather, whatever, but I haven't been able to figure that out. So.
VP Lee.
So this is actually Ivan's question led very well to this one. So I am graduating in May. I'm going back to Washington State.
No, you should stay. You should stay. I want you to stay.
I'm going to Washington State to work for an aerospace company. Now, hypothetically, one day I'm having coffee with the VP or whoever of this company, right? We're a small company. What do I say to him that would convince him to move operations or some operations to Rapid City, South Dakota?
Well, that's a good question. The first thing is you find out what he needs. So, or she, whoever your leader is. What are the challenges with where you're at, and where are the places that are opportunities? So sometimes when we're talking to companies because when people are interested in moving here, I get solicitation. Hey, we have a manufacturing facility in Colorado, the recent one. We're looking at Rapid City. Just based on internet research, we'd love to talk to you, and I try to put a sales pitch together. Right? But what I try to do when I meet with these folks, I find out, because we may or may not be a good fit. I don't want them to move here if they're going to fail, because we may not be a good fit. So you find out what are their needs. And sometimes it's we need more qualified workforce. Okay. Sometimes it's we're getting taxed out of Washington State, or having a hard time recruiting the right kind of people because they don't want to raise their family in the state, despite its beauty. That could be, I don't know for sure, or we want to be near military installations because we're aerospace. Whatever those access points are. But sometimes they say we need to be near a port to do cargo ships. Well, we're probably not the place for you. So you have to be realistic. We're not that. But we are other things. We have rail, we have air, we have truck. I'd love to see more going down the Missouri River, and stuff like that. But you think about like whatever someone's needs are, whatever their customers. So when Chick-fil-A is coming here, I'm saying, you should have been here a long time ago. Do you know why they hadn't come so far? Their whole thing was distribution. We weren't on the way. It wasn't about our market. Our market's big enough for everything. Costco, everything. We have a big enough market for it. But a lot of times it's about, and this is true with grocery stores, it's about how they ship things to point A to point B, and they have to do that frequently. And if you're not on a route and you're out of the way, then you're just making a special trip for that one entity. So you find out what their needs are, you address them, you have to know the area that you're talking about. And here the strengths are low tax base, 4 seasons, great quality of life, incredible diverse workforce, various industries that we have here, not agriculture, tourism, military. We're looking to add even more. We have manufacturing coming in here, a lot of retail, a lot of shopping. We're seeing more and more software and technology companies want to come here. A lot of people are working remote here now from other places. It's a different type of world. So, and healthcare is our largest industry. And now we're getting another I want us to be a regional healthcare hub. I mean, for the next 250 miles to 300 miles, we're the largest metro area. So we're the hub for healthcare, education, for shopping, and all of that. And we're getting bigger all the time. We have Monument Health, Sanford Health's coming in with a campus. We have the VA, we have Yati Health, our Indian Health Services. There is a lot happening here. We're getting a medical school. There are some really cool things that are happening. Indigenous medical school, by the way, so it's pretty cool. At least I'm wanting them, I'm rooting for them. They're working on it, but they're accredited. They're really doing some cool things. All of that stuff. So you just talk about whatever that industry is that you need. How does that fit within your area? But you can't put a square peg in a round hole either. But there are a lot of places that we're the ideal fit for.
Senator Goldmeister?
I'm looking at graduating next year with my master's, and again, kind of the same boat, but I understand you really want us to stay, but there's so much that draws us out from Rapid City, and you kind of touched on this with Chick-fil-A, where you mentioned that the big reason why they weren't here before was because of the district. What did you change, or what did you do to work with them to help get distribution here so that they could come here, so that other things can also do the same thing and come here? Because I look around and I'm like, there are smaller cities around this, in Colorado that have these other things that I would love to see here.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
Yeah, so obviously I would say if you don't have distribution center, you should put one here. That's always the first one I say to grocery stores, because that's a big one. What other areas have that we don't have are nearby areas within 2 miles that also have the same things. So that's what helps everybody. We are on an island. It's a rare place to have a metro area our size without another nearby metro area for that distance. And here we often think Sioux Falls is our closest peer city. They're bigger than us, but actually Billings, Cheyenne, Fort Collins are all closer than Sioux Falls is. We're actually the gateway into the Mountain West region. So what I would say with that is the more success we have, the more they want to come here. So eventually Chick-fil-A got stuff in Sioux Falls. They have a Cheyenne, and that Cheyenne one, it's just one location in Cheyenne, but now we got Sioux Falls to Cheyenne, and from here they can go a lot of different directions, but that's where it starts to make sense for them. So I have conversations with Costco. They say, hey, you got the population base, you're right at about the median income that we're looking for, but if it drops below that, that's a Sam's Club customers. If it's below this income, they're a Costco customer. That's how they look at it. So we have to raise our average weekly wages. If we have more income and population base, that will create the opportunity. The fact is, it's been this way for quite some time, so a lot of these things we didn't have are now very interested in coming here. And going back to you, Clive, real quick, the quality of life in the Black Hills. Right, in our backyard, it's like when you live on the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. I visit my son in Tennessee, and they have the Smokies. No amount of money can buy that. It's amazing, and it's a wonderland. People need to get out there and enjoy it more. So some of that, when I tell Costco, it's like, you're a great American company. Don't you think you should be near Mount Rushmore? They're like, yeah, we do have this board game we sell with all the monuments of everything that we're nearby. You don't have Mount Rushmore on there. Whatever. And they're like, oh, it's just silly things like that. But you do whatever it takes. Good question.
Senator Clausen with the last comment.
Oh, it was a pretty similar question. It was just how do we encourage supply lines to build up short of begging Pier to build more railroads, pretty much. So you pretty much answered it. So.
Yeah. Begging Pier, that's like, I think that's Dr. Tandy's full-time job is to beg Pier. It all starts with vision. So you have to have this vision for things, and money will follow vision. It might take time, but vision doesn't follow money. That's not the way that goes. And so you have to say, hey, rail would be here. Like, I'd love to see like Amtrak through here. So I've sent letters and I've passed resolutions to our council so that everybody can use those things. But it's such a gigantic number that it really takes the Congress to get involved to say that that's a thing. I'd love to see it maybe start from Sioux Falls to here, or here to Cheyenne or Denver or something like that, whatever the case may be. Those sorts of things I think are nice to have, but it takes time. One of our biggest things, we got to increase our water supply. We're trying to get a pipeline from the Missouri River out here. We have great access to water out here, but we want to diversify that for our future. And water will always be a thing that's in demand. And if we don't take our water rights out of the Missouri River, somebody else is going to take it. That's a gazillion-dollar project. It's going to take decades to make that happen, but work's starting now. So, encouraging all of that, I think, helps set the table for all the other things that we have going on here. As you know, I can talk. You probably figured that out. So, I think that was the last question, right? So, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Next up, we have Dr. Brian Tandy, President of South Dakota Mines, with us. Senator Halstead. You bet.
All right. Well, thank you again for your time. I don't want to take a lot of it. I just wanted to give you an update on the major initiative that we're undertaking this semester and through the summer. And that is an update to our strategic plan. So perhaps my most important job as president is to ensure the long-term success of this institution. And so a big part of my job is thinking about the future and what are the things we need to do today to make sure that 5-10 years from now we continue to be successful. So we have a strategic plan that's been in place for a couple of years, and I know this is probably too small for a lot of you to see, but it consists of a vision statement. Developing world-class leaders in science and engineering to benefit society. We have our mission, which includes education, innovation, and engaging in partnerships. And the core of the plan is built around these 5 pillars. And I'll go through those in a little bit more detail. And then, of course, we've got our core values. So this has been in place for a couple of years. I think it's a fine plan. It's a good plan. I have my own ideas as president, my own priorities, and the world, frankly, the world has changed since 2023, and I thought it was time for us to go through a process of updating this plan and thinking about the next 5-10 years. And one of the reasons is because some of the goals that we established a couple of years ago, we've already met. The enrollment goal of 2050, we're not quite there yet, but if you look at some of these other goals, like our retention rate, we're already above that. Our philanthropic support goal, we're almost there. We've exceeded $20 million the last 3 or 4 years. Research expenditures were above $20 million, and we beat our goals and invention disclosures and so on. So even though it's been 2 years, I think it is the right time to go through and update this plan. And so my goal today is just to give you an overview of the process. Happy to take any feedback, but I really want to invite you to a session on March 30th. It's a student town hall meeting, and I want the focus of that to be our strategic plan. So we'll have more time then to get into details, and I want your take on what the future of this institution should look like. Do you have a question?
I was curious if part of your goal for the research was still to hit R2 at some point, or is that?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I've gotten that question probably 100 times in the last year. Here, so if you're not familiar, so universities are rated by this Carnegie classification system in terms of how much research output they have. And the highest two are R1 and R2. To achieve R2 status, we need to do $20 million a year we need to do $5 million a year in research. We greatly exceed that already. And we need to graduate 20 PhD students per year. We're right on the edge of that. We've been averaging between 15 and 20 the last few years. So we're right on the threshold of getting to R2. And that has been a goal of this institution for many years. I think naturally we're going to hit that within the next few years. We hit $30 million in new awards last year, and our PhD programs I think will continue to grow. So we'll hit that. This is my personal opinion, I don't really like that as being a goal in itself, because I think our goal should be about the impact of our research. You know, you've heard me talk before, I think the economic development part of what we do with our research mission is the most important thing. I would rather our goals be aligned around, how many startup companies have we helped launch, how much revenue have we helped our industry partners generate through their partnerships with us, those kind of things, as opposed to these kind of rankings and classifications, which to me are all about somebody else's definition of what success is, and we're a unique place, and we should define success for ourselves. So that's my answer to that question. Okay, so let me just run through these 5 pillars. Pillar 1 is all about academic and co-curricular excellence, right? And you can read this. You don't need me to read this to you, but our goal to become the premier STEM institution of choice for students seeking blah blah blah. Again, I'm not going to read it. Number 2 is about campus culture. Okay, and to me, in the future, this is going to be perhaps the most important pillar of this plan. Why? Because the world is changing incredibly fast, right? This is a 2-year-old plan, and I've already told you that we've met some of those goals, and the world looks a lot different than it did in 2023. What's it going to look like in 2030? Heck, I don't know. So how do we plan? How do we have a detailed plan that tells us what we should be doing in 2030? We really can't. So what I think we need to do is have a culture that promotes innovation, that promotes agility and flexibility, and having the right culture means that whatever changes come along in 2029, 2030, we're equipped to handle. We don't know what they are yet, but if we have the right culture, we're going to adapt in the way that we need to. So this is very important. 3 is all about promotion and advancement. This is also important because I've heard it said many times that South Dakota Mines is the best kept secret, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be a secret to anybody. I want the world to know about us. And this goes back to the discussion with the mayor. We are, part of Rapid City. We're proud to be part of Rapid City. I think Rapid City is proud of us, but most people in Rapid City don't think of us as a college town, and I want our presence in this town to be much bigger than it is, and thanks to a lot of you, we've made a lot of progress in that area. So this is an important part of the plan. Enrollment and success. This is all about the success rates of our students, their success in finding great careers, our success in attracting more students here. The world needs more scientists and engineers, and so this is why it's part of one of our main pillars. And then research. As we talked about, research and innovation is a huge part of our mission as a university. So that's the current plan. You know, I'm new here. I have my own ideas, my own priorities. You know, I want a plan that recognizes who we are as an institution and doesn't forget about, you know, how we've achieved what we've achieved so far. You know, we have this reputation, and I've asked many of you and many of the hundreds of other students I've talked to, why is it that you came here to Mines? And a lot of it is in this first bullet point, right? Hands-on applied learning opportunities, small classes. You know, we create considerable value. We have a very high return on investment that we need to maintain. We're not going to change that core part of who we are. We have challenges with our research growth, making sure that the teaching mission is supported adequately. That has to be part of our new plan. And then helping grow Rapid City and the Innovation District, and making sure that, at every opportunity we can make fun of our good friends in Spearfish. Yes. All right. And so, you know, we've started some things over the last year around education innovation, making sure that we're on the forefront of engineering and science education, doing new things, giving our faculty freedom to try new things. Some things won't work, but we'll stick with the things that do work and always be on cutting edge, be as innovative in the classroom as we are in the lab, right? So this needs to be a big part of our strategic plan moving forward. And then doubling down on experiential learning, right? You came here because you want to do hands-on learning. We have a lot of opportunities to do that already. And we're creating new pathways that we're calling work-based learning and innovation-based learning that you're going to be hearing more and more about this year. I want that to be part of the plan. So lots of reasons why we're restarting this strategic planning process. So here's where we're at. We've got, for each of those 5 pillars, we've got people leading those. 2 of them are in this room. So Dr. Herman is leading the promotion and advancement pillar, along with Mark from CARA. And Dean Joe is leading the campus culture pillar. And he just provided an update at a faculty and staff town hall last week, and they're doing a great job of starting to talk about what should our goals and objectives and action items be in that area. So again, I consider that to be the most important part of this plan, is having the right culture on campus. So we formed those working groups. They're working through the spring. I mentioned the March 30th student town hall meeting, where I'd love to hear from you and others about what you think we should do in each of these 5 pillars. And then over the summer, we'll be working hard to finalize the plan and then starting to communicate that to campus. And when you come back to campus in the fall, we hope to be able to unveil this plan and get you all excited about the future of South Dakota Mines. So that's my brief update. I just wanted you to know about that process and invite you to be part of it.
Senator Meyer.
So we just heard from the mayor that they're trying to possibly donate to this. And like, I was just curious, from your point of view, like, say you got all that area and they didn't give it to anybody else and you got all of it to yourself, like what would you do with it?
What would we do? Well, we actually have a lot of land to work with, right? I mean, you've all seen just a couple blocks over, there's an empty lot that's it's not owned by us as a university, it's owned by CARA, but it's for our use. And if you were to look at property records, you'd see that CARA owns actually quite a bit of land around the campus, you know, on the west side. And then, you know, a few other developers own a lot of land that are, you know, and they're all ready to redevelop this area. So the overall vision for the Innovation District, I'm sure you've heard, we want to create more opportunities to convince Clyde and others to stay in Rapid City. And not only after they graduate, but be part of, contribute to those companies as students. And that's a big part of why work-based learning and innovation-based learning are our priorities, because that gets you connected to these companies earlier on in the program, and not just during the summer, not just after you graduate. So I'd love to see that area filled with tech companies, engineering companies. You know, we're targeting industries like critical minerals, national security, medical technologies, and then the world of deep underground science. You know, we have strong connections with SURF. We want to kind of build up some industry partnerships supporting that mission as well, including like underground autonomous mining and those types of things. I see a lot of those kind of tech-based companies over in this part of the Innovation District. I think this area on the other side of the tracks could be perhaps for critical minerals, pilot scale plants for mineral extraction and processing and those types of things. That might be a good use for that. I just found out about this from the mayor before this meeting, and I'm still thinking about what those opportunities could be. But certainly, it's a great. I think you said it's a once in a generation opportunity to do something cool. So, but maybe it's athletic facilities. Heck, I don't know. We're just starting to think about it. But I'd love to hear your ideas as well. What's that?
The new sports complex, maybe.
You know, I didn't say that to him, but I think there could be some great synergies if they built the sports complex close to our campus. And we have, I'm sure you'd all love to have a field house to go play football in the winter or whatever, right? Or run, whatever. So lots of ideas. It's a time that's exciting because we can dream about those things, and we have a lot of support from the community to help make those things happen.
Senator Clausen.
Yeah. So with innovation-based learning and work-based learning, or is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Are those already being rolled out? Are those already kind of semi-functional already?
So, all right, let me start with work-based learning. Basically what this is students go out and they're working full-time, right? Not just, kind of like a co-op on steroids in a way. So imagine you come here for a year or two, you get kind of your foundational knowledge, and then the second 2 years of the program is working full-time. You might be taking a few technical classes online while you're working, but we're working closely with your employer to make sure that you're doing engineering and design work that helps you learn what you need to learn to graduate as an engineer. This is a model that already exists at a program called Iron Range Engineering in northern Minnesota. And I know the founder of that program, and we now have him on board as a consultant to help us look for opportunities to do that here. It might just be a class initially. It might be you do like your capstone design course. Instead of taking the course through your department, you're doing a work experience. You're doing enough design and demonstrating your knowledge that it meets the capstone design requirement, and you're working for a company and getting paid at the same time. So in that program, they actually have students. I think they make $50,000 on average, and have plenty to pay for tuition and to pay for living. And I think it's a really cool model. The place where we're going to roll it out first, though, is in a Master's of Engineering program. So we just got that approved here on this campus. It still has to go to the Board of Regents, but it shouldn't be an issue. So imagine you graduate, and a year or two from now you want to get a master's degree, but you're not going to quit your job and move back here and be a master's student. And maybe you just don't want to do a purely online experience. So we're going to have a master's degree designed so that the work that you're actually doing as an engineer meets the program requirements. And so you're reporting about the projects you're working on, you're working with a faculty member, and meeting the outcomes of that program. So that's where we're going to start with that. Innovation-based learning, we've created a number of new courses that do like IDL 101, 102, 201, etc. And we're going to get some projects started in the fall, and students will be able to take those, just be one credit every semester, but they'll be working on a project in integrated teams that include first-year students to graduate students, but working on a project and getting credit that you can use initially as electives. So we're working with the departments to make sure that they'll accept those credits. So instead of one of the any 3-credit electives you could take, you could do 3 semesters of an IDL project and then use that towards your elective requirement. Next phase of that development would be to have that baked into the program itself, where you're required to do, so you can replace some of your required courses with IDL projects. If you're doing real engineering work, you're going to be doing real design work. So it's kind of a hands-on project-based alternative to some of the other classes that you might be able to take. So that's how we plan to roll that out. At UND, where I was, we started an entire program. Because we were starting a new biomedical engineering program from scratch, it was all based on IBL and you know, that's an easy way to do it because, you know, you're not fighting with anybody about what, you know, about, you know, accepting credits for this or that. We started the whole program that way. We don't really have that luxury here, except for if we choose to start a new program in the future, but we want to give students in all of our programs options to do that.
Senator Walmarch.
I recognize what you said about the work-based learning for the future with regards to like capstone design. Brian Butterfield he did capstone before. He did a phenomenal job of it. And he actually had something very, very similar going on with capstone work. Students who had an internship before, they could go, and when they were actually registering for the class, you would have to go and meet with Butterfield, and he'd ask, who are you working for? Do you have an internship there? And he'd work to set up communications to have it set so your capstone design project would be with your company, and so you would stay on as an intern and get paid, and that would just be what your project was. It's just working for them on a very specific project.
Yeah, that's great. I think elements of this already exist in different pockets across campus. I wish we could hire him back. I might try to do that.
I was going to say,
because I think he was a big loss.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know if he'd be against, I don't want to put him on the stand. I've talked to him a couple of times when I've seen him about reaching out and just being like, hey, do you have thoughts? Where did you find advancement? Where did you see pitfalls with what you did set up? What worked, what didn't?
Yeah.
Because he did a really good job at it.
No, I've heard his name 100 times since I came here. I think he left right before I started, right? Yeah. But I've never met him, so I'd love to meet him. I think he's very nice.
All right, Senator Hill.
It sounds like this would pair really well with the mayor's vision of campus and community cooperation. So is there any effort to do this work or innovation-based learning here in town with local businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. Our priority will be with local businesses. Yeah, because what we'd really love is to have local businesses have people serving as mentors for these IBL projects, and then obviously for work-based learning. They could go off anywhere and do this, but we would like to prioritize in town because this has to be aligned with our other priorities, which is to help build the innovation district and help grow the Rapid City economy. So, yeah, absolutely, they're very well aligned.
Senator Meyer.
Well, I was just thinking back to the leadership score. Something you mentioned was that more and more so college is just to get experience, like those experiences and like things that you don't get anywhere else. Is that kind of is that part of what this WBL and IBL is working towards, plus other things, I guess?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely the motivation, right? And at that event, what I talked about was, universities don't have a monopoly on knowledge, right? Knowledge is now a commodity. You have access to knowledge everywhere, right? You get information a million different places. You don't need to get it from us. AI is changing the world in that way, but also in terms of personal tutors. And you want to learn any topic, AI can walk you through any kind of learning process. So the question is, what do we provide that's unique, that's special? How do we add value beyond what you can get elsewhere? And my point at that event was it's experience, right? The experience of working with, your teammates here to solve a problem and learning how to work with one another and having access to the facilities that we have here and that type of thing. So that's why, thinking about our strategic plan and what we want to focus on in the future, I think that's what we need to do. And as I've said, doubling down on the experiential learning that we currently do here is the right direction.
All right, Senator Sessions, take it away with our last question.
So what steps are being taken to even out the gender ratio on campus?
I hear he's offering an MRS degree.
Yeah, I mean, we are, we're like 75-25, right? And I know and it really depends on the program. You know, in engineering fields like biomedical engineering has a more even ratio. Chemical engineering isn't quite there, but it's better than, you know, NE and E are quite different. I think these kind of focusing on these kind of experiential learning opportunities, and you know, bringing those opportunities down to the high school and middle school level through some of our outreach, and I mean, I think generally expanding our reach and teaching more people about opportunities in engineering and science, and helping them identify as engineers earlier on. I think that will help. But yeah, it's a tough problem, and it's the same everywhere. I mean, the place where I came from, the ratio was about the same, and it's difficult to find the solution to that problem. I don't know. I don't have any great answers, I'm afraid, but any of you have suggestions about what we could do?
Fill buses full of guys and go up to BH, I don't know.
I mean, certainly we have to create a welcoming, inclusive environment for everyone. But, yeah, and like I said, it's very discipline specific, and looking for what are programs that will help us attract more female engineering and science students.
All right.
Any suggestions? No?
Well, thank you, President Candy. All right, next up we have Dr. Jade Herman, Associate Vice President for External Affairs for South Dakota Mines. Take it away. I think she can remain seated. She's in a booth.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be on crutches, so I'm just going to stay seated over here. Kind of ignoring my doctor's requirement. Anyway, thanks for having me. I know Jake has been trying to get me here for a few weeks now, and it finally fit in my schedule, so I appreciate you all taking a little bit of time out of the agenda to hear me speak about commencement. For those of you who don't know, I serve as co-chair of the commencement committee, and I've been on the committee for all 14 and a half years that I've been here at Mines. So I've run now 28 commencement ceremonies or something like that. It's been crazy. Just when I think I'm going to pass it off on to somebody else, the president comes in and they're like, nope, you're going to keep it. So here we are. Anyway, so just to give a little backstory, you guys have seen you've all seen this document, right?
Yeah.
So I don't need to like walk through it line by line here, but a little bit of backstory. So a few years ago, the committee started discussing whether or not we should continue with the fall commencement ceremony. You know, over the years, we've had a decline in the number of graduates that were participating in that ceremony because of how different departments have changed their curriculum flow charts, and you can only finish in the spring for like mechanical and some others. So our numbers have been declining over the years. We've had some additional struggles with a decline in faculty participation, a decline in volunteers. All of these things have kind of contributed to this discussion that we started a couple of years ago. And then the committee, faculty senate, university cabinet, executive council, senate was originally on board, and then all of a sudden at the last minute, the senate came back and like, no, I'm just kidding, we want you to continue with fall commencement. So we gave it a few more years, and the numbers have continued to decline, and we've continued to have a hard time just managing the fall logistics with the number of people that tend to not stick around for that ceremony. So that's a big thing. But then the other factor in all of this is that the costs have been increasing over the years, and you can see from the document that we sent, in FY 2024, it was about $30,000, and this year will be probably closer to $37,000. We had to change arenas, primarily because we were outgrowing the lineup space in the ice arena at the Civic Monument. So that was a big factor of why we moved. We did try to adjust with getting like Rushmore Hall for lineup, which added on additional costs as well. So it was kind of, a lot of moving around in different areas there to figure out the best way to navigate our growing spring graduate class. So now that this last year was the first time we were in the Summit Arena there, which you can tell by the list that we sent, kind of increased our costs kind of significantly for year over year. Anyway, and I didn't include line item breakdowns for every fiscal year, but just this most recent calendar year's worth of ceremony, so you can kind of see what we spent at the monument for Summit Arena versus the theater in the fall. So anyways, we were talking about this in commencement committee and trying to figure out what to do going forward. We had initially thought maybe this last fall would be our last fall ceremony. Jacob came in with the idea, like, why don't you come ask for some funds from Student Senate to continue it for another year so we could delay that last cutoff date and have a better plan for communicating the change to the students. So, we looked around at what the other schools are doing in the state, and I don't know if any of you have looked into that either, but right now, like Black Hill State has a fall ceremony, but they have the ability to host it on campus, and I think BSU might be the other one, or Northern, one of them. One of the other smaller schools has a fall ceremony, but they also have the ability to have theirs on campus. The bigger schools do not have a fall ceremony, and like my graduate school, I went to Creighton University, we do not have a fall ceremony there either. All of the schools generally allow you to walk early or walk late. So that was kind of what the policy we would adopt here eventually. We'd also talked about hosting a PhD hooding ceremony in our ballroom for the fall graduates, since they tend to be a lot of international students and they might not be able to come back or participate early. So we are probably going to move that direction as well. And yeah, so that's kind of where we're at today. And as you could see on the sheet that I sent, the budget for commencement has always been less than what we actually spent. And in past years, we've been able to offset that deficit with discretionary funds that we've received from CARA. This year kind of put us in a big bind because we got a substantial amount less than what we were hoping for this year, which kind of sucks, but we're dealing with it. And we don't know what our allocations are going to be for the next fiscal year, which will be when the next fall ceremony kind of falls into the timeline there. So I guess that's just a general summary. I don't know if there's anything else you want me to go into.
And what's the request then?
So the actual request as I put on there is $12,000 to cover the fall ceremony in 2026. Okay. We're estimating similar costs to this year for that ceremony and similar numbers of graduates.
Senator Clausen.
So what exactly does prevent us from doing the ceremony here on campus, like in like the gym or something like that? Because you said the numbers are declining. Are they low enough that we can just host it here?
It's not big enough. We'll run into athletic conflicts every other year, and the actual infrastructure in the gym would cost us just about as much or more to bring in the necessary sound, staging, crew to set up and everything. We've looked into that option, and it would probably cost us more money than it does at Monument. Use their setup there.
Senator Meyer.
How many people come back
For guests?
Yeah, I'm assuming you can't do it.
No, the back ballroom is way too small. Yeah. and the other option there is you could do it in the back ballroom, but you'd have to limit the number of guests substantially per student. Because right now we typically plan for 5 people per graduate on average, with like the family members and stuff. So if you have 8 graduates and 5 people per graduate, and then some faculty members, administrators, and so on and so forth. We wouldn't have enough room in the ballroom to host everybody there unless you cut that down and offer just a select number of tickets, which I don't think we want to do either.
Senator Schaefer.
Just kind of going off that, has there been any research into other venues in Rapid, like maybe one of the high schools that also have theaters and theater programs that might have those speakers, just to kind of get that cost down so maybe in the future we don't have to go through Senate and can go through those CARA funds again?
Yeah, well, we didn't look into the high school theaters because again, that would probably create some conflicts with their scheduling because we need it the day before the ceremony as well. But what's the theater? Box. That would be more expensive. But we did look into that. That's more expensive. The one at the old high school, I can't remember what it's called, where the
Performing Arts Center.
Yep, that one. Yep, we looked into that as well. Their space is not ideal for lineup space either. They don't have a lot of that specific type of just open area where we can do line up things. Parking is also an issue there for that type of stuff. We did talk to them too about costs. It would be cheaper, but the logistics of the other part of the ceremony would be tough, primarily parking.
Senator Bowmeister.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand what the reasoning behind just canceling fall commencement instead of limiting things so that it would be cheaper to where if we did it in Beck Ballroom but limited the number of guests, that would still at least give people graduate something rather than absolutely nothing, and then they can make the choice of whether or not they want to walk in the fall or walk in the spring.
I guess this is maybe my personal opinion, but if you think about limiting the number of guests for the Beck Ballroom, like if you're a graduate in fall semester, you're gonna have like 1, maybe 2 tickets that you could give somebody. How's that gonna go over with your family? Like, I'm just asking. Like, what's that?
I said it would convince them to do the spring one, so I don't have to put it in the option.
Senator Graham.
Would there be any possibility of like a split commencement, or is that like out of the way?
What do you mean by split?
Like having dividing the fall graduating arguing into different like time periods?
I mean, I think logistically that would be a little bit of a nightmare on our end. I think you'd probably have less faculty participating at that point too. In terms of, you know, like we have a hard enough time getting volunteers to help us with it too, and getting them to stay twice as long. They're going to do full ceremonies and stuff. And how would you do like the student speaker and the keynote speaker? Like, would you double all of their time too, or have multiple speakers? I don't know. I guess we haven't talked about splitting yet. We haven't talked about that yet.
Senator Sessions, did you have a last comment?
Yeah, I did. I guess just where's the 12,000 going that won't be spent on the fall commencement?
Well, if you look at that itemized list of expenses on page 2, the bottom, there you go. The bulk of the expense is the monument.
Oh, I mean, like, where does the savings, so we're not spending $12K anymore on this? Where is it going in the school?
Well, really to cover the spring ceremony at that point. Like I said, our budget doesn't even cover both ceremonies, so we're offsetting it by funds that this year we currently don't have, so we're trying to be creative in figuring out how we're going to even pay for these expenses for this fiscal year. So it's just becoming tighter and tighter, and you know, there isn't a lot of itemized expenses on here, so it seems like it really shouldn't cost this much, right? But we're already kind of operating on that shoestring budget and doing things bare minimum. We've cut things over the year. Joe and I were talking earlier today about, like, do we need a platform dinner? Well, the platform dinner used to be like 90 to 100 people at the president's house, plated meal, and that's thousands of dollars, and now we've narrowed it down to like 20 people. A small restaurant rather than having, you know, a big catered affair. So we've trimmed back over the years. We've kind of just got it down to bare minimum what we need to run the ceremonies, and even at the monument, like when we're doing the setup for the spring ceremony, like there is a lot more that we could be doing in those arenas to make the space look nicer, like dropping curtains and all that stuff. So we can't afford it, so we don't do things like that here either. I mean, I like to think just in general the school is very, very like frugal and sensible with what they spend money on just across the board. So we do try to be responsible in that aspect, but we also want to give you guys a ceremony that is appropriate and celebrates your accomplishment as well.
VP Lee with the last question.
So if we can't get this 12K to you, what happens?
If you can't get this 12K, I will be like begging and pleading with our vice president for finance to start like scraping couch cushions. Like, I don't know. Well, in all of this, you know, like if we have a higher enrollment this year, this might not be a problem. You know, this is kind of dependent on what the budget looks like for next year, and I don't know what that looks like. We don't know what that looks like yet, because it's all dependent on enrollment too. So it's tough. We could have a greater era allocation next year that will help cover this, like we did last year. So like last year, if you'll know in my comments there for the last fiscal year, like we gave the budget that we had for commencement back to our finance office to cover holes in other areas because we got a larger allocation from CARA last year. But those fluctuate from year to year, so it's kind of hard to judge where we could get money from right now.
All right, well, thank you, Dr. Hearn, we appreciate it.
And if you guys have any other questions, you can shoot me an email or whatever. And Haley Armstrong is my co-chair on the committee as well. And Jacob and Chase are the two senators on our committee, and we'll be meeting in a couple weeks for spring commencement planning. So feel free to share any other comments or questions, concerns you have with us.
All right, thank you. All right, everybody, get ready. We're going to roll through this real quick and get us out of here on this Ash Wednesday, all right? Unfinished business. Voxted We 26S009 EWR Student Chapter Reactivation. Senator Keel, has anything changed in this?
No.
All right. Do I have a motion? Senator Bollmeister.
Motion to vote.
Motion to vote, seconded by Senator Smith. Mr. VP, please take the roll. Yeah.
Baumeister.
Aye.
Byrne. Butcher.
Aye.
Camp.
Aye.
Lawson. Aye. Durden. Graham.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
King. Lawberg.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Salcido.
Aye.
Sattler.
Aye.
Schaefer.
Aye.
Ascension.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Stolman.
Aye.
Peterson. White.
She left.
Right. Yamalovich.
Aye.
Motion passes. That's
Okay.
17 out of 17.
All right, and that was, let's move on. There it is. Thank you all for doing that. Moving on to Voxted We. Give me a seat or class. 20, this is new business that concludes our unfinished 26S010 Vets Club supplementary request. CFO, take it away.
So originated by the Finance Committee, presented by me, whereas the Veterans Club has approached the Finance Committee with a supplemental request to provide funding and for reimbursement for travel to their SBA conference, and whereas the appropriate paperwork has been filed by the Finance Committee, and whereas the Finance Committee has deemed $702 as an appropriate amount to be allocated to the organization, and therefore by majority vote of the Student Association Senate and the signature of the Student Association President, that $702 be allocated from the so reverted account to the Veterans Fund. Is there any questions on this?
Questions? Baumeister.
Motion to suspend the rules.
All right, do I have a second for that? Salcido? Mr. VP, please take the roll. Or all in favor, I'm sorry. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
Aye.
Objections? Rules suspended. Second motion, anybody? Baumeister?
Motion to vote.
Motion to vote, seconded by Clausen. Now, VP, please take the roll.
Baumeister.
Aye.
Butcher.
Aye.
Kent.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Graham. Hill.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Clauber.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Salcido.
Aye.
Sattler.
Abstain.
Schaefer.
Aye.
Ascension.
Nay.
Smith.
Aye.
Stolman.
Aye.
Yamalovich.
Aye.
That's 14 yeas, 1 nay, 2 abstain. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you all for doing that. I appreciate it. I'm sure Senator Hill does as well. Voxted We 26S011, originated by myself, presented by myself. Whereas the Commencement Committee is presented to the Student Association Senate on a financial request to supplement payment for the fall 2026 graduation ceremony, and noting the committee has provided itemized documentation which is attached, showing the cost for fall 2025 commencement. Whereas the committee requests financial assistance of $12,000 from the Student Association Senate to cover these costs that are unable to be covered by their annual commencement budget due to uncertainty in allocation amount from CARA and university funds. And therefore be it resolved by a majority of the Student Association Senate, the signature of myself, that the Student Association Senate formally recommends to the GAP Allocation Committee that $12,000 be allocated from GAF funds to the commencement committee for FY27 to be used for fall 2026 commencement activities. Questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, motions? Senator Keel.
I think this is a, pretty important thing, and it affects students, and it's part of our job to make sure students can, graduate.
Senator Bullmeister.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that there probably is a decent number of graduates who tend to graduate in the fall as well. I think they would love the fact that we would honor them with a ceremony in the fall. If it's educational, so I'm gonna be really nice.
Senator Jensen.
I'm just gonna say, so this is just like kicking the can down the road, because are they gonna come back to us in a couple years or next year asking for 12,000 more? Or is it just something with the budget this year?
Steve Lugos.
So it's already been, good question. It's been publicly shared that this coming December, 2026, will be the last December commencement. That decision's already been made, but they don't know how to pay for it. So that's why. I think the only reason, my impression, I had to leave that meeting earlier, or early. The only reason that the commencement committee agreed, hey, yes, let's do it one more time, is because this option was presented. Hey, we can try to pay for it. So it's not kicking it down the road. This will be the last.
Okay,
This was an hour-long expressional discussion where we were going in circles for a long time. They did not know. I promised nothing. But they had said to me that they were not going to do fall 2026, and they were adamant on that. There was a few of us that dissented, including Steve Lugos and Senator Stolman, and they were not going to budge because of these different restrictions with faculty. The majority was the budgetary stuff. They didn't have any guarantees that they would have the budget. They knew that they probably would not have the budget. I said, you know what, let's just end this whole discussion. I said, the student senate is here to do the job of helping students. This impacts students, and I said, I can't guarantee anything, but I said, well, why don't you throw a shot in the dark, come to the student senate, request it, and see what we say, right? And so that's where this whole thing led. And that really shut down the conversation pretty quick, of canceling fall 26. I think it'd be a severe injustice and disservice to the people that have put in $60,000, $70,000 in their education, and then they don't have the opportunity to walk. It's just ripped out from, because people have co-ops, right? They're going to be on co-op or something, or they're expecting to walk in December 26th, and now they're saying, oh, sorry, you're going to come back the year after you graduated. I think that's just unacceptable. So, Senator Boucher?
Do we have to vote on this today?
No, we don't. We can see this next week. If somebody makes a motion to suspend and vote, we sure can, but.
Follow-up question, can this be reviewed by Finance Committee before we allocate that amount?
You're talking our Finance Committee?
Yeah.
It has been reviewed. CFO Shop?
So this is a recommendation to GAF committee. This isn't coming out of the SOAP reserve. This is coming from the allocation of GAF committee for next year. So this will be seen by them.
So what this resolution is, this is not meaning that the money is being dictated by us. This is saying that we are formally recommending to GAF committee, which is, they're meeting February 25th, something like that? It's some, a lot of year on it, but they're meeting at the end of February, and then they will take this up and make the ultimate decision. But this is a formal recommendation for them to make that. Senator Keel?
So when do they meet? Because we need to make sure we make a decision before they meet.
Right. CFO Shop?
26th of February.
Oh, so we're fine first.
So you have the option to do it tonight, or you can wait another week and do it. Senator Bullmeister?
The sole point of nothing is going to change between now and next week. I will be making a motion to suspend.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Senator Jensen? All in favor of suspending the rules say aye.
Aye.
Objections?
Here.
Objection.
Okay, roll call for suspension of the rules.
Is your GAF
Don't have to make this hard.
I need to talk to constituents. I have a job.
Bullmeister.
Aye.
Boucher.
Nay.
Cantz.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Jensen. Aye. Clobber.
Aye.
Keel.
No.
Meyer.
No.
Salcido.
Aye.
Saller.
No.
Schaefer.
Aye.
Senchins.
Nay.
Smith.
Aye.
Stolman.
Nay.
Yumalovich.
Nay.
10 yeas, 7 nays. I guess we're suspending the rules.
Rules are suspended.
Rules have been suspended.
You sure you don't need 2/3? Is that 2/3? What majority do you need to suspend?
Constitution Chair, I have a question.
No, that's Robert's Rules of Order.
I don't know. That one.
Let me get on
Job
that.
to know.
Let me ask Chad Chip.
Let me ask the
One moment, please.
I don't know. We're not saying that's 2/3, we're saying 2/3. It's not. This is gonna do it. This is calculating what 2/3.
We need 12 and a half people. All right, I'll get the knife.
You lay down!
Well, it's
2/3?
12 and a half, so it
Okay,
doesn't
all
matter.
right.
Rules are not suspended.
The rules are not suspended. We will see this next week. There's no need to fight over it. Talk to your constituents. Like I said, this is just going to be a recommendation of the 12,000 we sent to Gap Act. Yes, Senator Schaefer.
We talked the last couple of weeks about sending out an email or having an email be sent out about this. Are we still planning on doing that?
Dean Lugos?
No, fair question. So yes, I brought that up with Dr. Herman today, presented a couple ideas, and she actually, I can get you the date, she set up a meeting.
March 11th, I
Is
believe.
it?
No.
Senator Stolman.
February 25th.
Thank
February
you,
25th.
thank you. So, so no firm decision, but the message has been heard, and we have a follow-up meeting. I think several parties are interested in initiating that, but nobody wants to step on any toes of the commencement committee chairs. So that's why.
Who's your fourth?
Yeah. All right, moving on to our last point of new business, Boston Week 26S013 FY27 Finance Office Budget Balancing Request. CFO, take it away.
So originated by, probably the executive board, is probably what I should say, presented by myself, whereas the finance office has approached the student senate with a request to help fix an administrative error that happened at the end of the 2025 fiscal year, and noting that $2,150 of CARA funds were deposited into the Hard Rocker Pet Band's SOAP account, which contained a balance of $2,000, and noting the combined $4,150 was allocated for the purchasing of a musical instrument before the end of the fiscal year, and whereas an administrative error caused the Hard Rockers Pet Band SOAP account to be reverted to the SOAP reverted account prior to the payment for the instrument, and noting the finance office made a one-time institutional payment of $4,150 to cover this outstanding invoice, and therefore be resolved by the majority vote of the Student Association Senate and the signature of the Student Association President that $4,150 from the SOAP reverted account be allocated to the Hard Rocker Pet Band's SOAP account for the purpose and billing by the finance office. Are there questions about this one?
Senator Sessions.
What was this instrument?
Yeah, so it was it a saxophone?
I think it was, hold on, I'll double check.
I think it was a baritone
Yes,
saxophone.
I think so.
Senator Jensen.
What exactly does this mean?
Okay.
Yes. So, I don't understand the
Give us a rundown.
So the finance office took an overhead account and paid the invoice themselves. What this is gonna do is they're gonna take money from the SOAP reverted account, put it back into the pet band, and then charge the pet band for that amount. So it goes back into their overhead, basically.
So it's just a clerical error.
Yeah,
So they're,
it's gonna, sorry.
No, go ahead, Steve, you take it.
It's gonna get put into their account and they're gonna take it out right away. It's just to keep the books matching.
Okay, Senator Sattler?
So we're not losing money here?
I did not know that.
It's literally student senate being able to approve this so that way their books are correct. And it doesn't show that the finance department paid $41.50 for a musical instrument. Senator Boucher, you were next.
All right, so I just want to clarify, this is not coming out of our special budget that we have allocated and we already pulled some money from to allocate to other clubs, or?
Dean Lugos?
So, because the music department didn't pay for, or Pep Band, I'm sorry, didn't pay for it, because they missed the invoice, at the end of the year, any club money, soap money that isn't spent goes back into our reverting funds. So it should have been paid, but we had an extra, whatever, $41.50. So we still have the extra $41.50, we need to pay it.
Yep. Let's go, Senator Smith, you're next.
I believe this happened because we ordered the berry sacks and it did not come until like the very end of the fiscal year, and so there was issues like sorting all the receipts and everything out. So it was just that the money had been spent and everything. It was just like the finance receipts and the numbers and everything.
See if it'll show.
I have a quick note, I would like this passed tonight.
Yep. Ballmeister?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Okay. Do I have a second? Is that second, Senator Keel?
Yeah.
All right. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
Aye.
Objections? All right. Rules are suspended. Motion, Ballmeister.
Motion to vote.
Motion to vote, second by Senator Smith. Mr. VP, please take the vote.
Baumeister.
Aye.
Boucher.
Aye.
Kent.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Duran.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Clobber.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Salcido.
Aye.
Sattler.
Aye.
Schaefer.
Aye.
Sanchez. Smith.
Aye.
Stolman.
Aye.
And Jamalowicz.
Aye.
So motion passes.
All right, thank you all for doing that. Before we move on to open discussion, there's one last point of new business here. I forgot to put it on the agenda, so I'm very sorry. But we have a birthday in the room, and the birthday person likes to be pretty expressive and full of joy, so we're going to sing happy birthday to him. It's Mr. Ivan's birthday. Please join me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ivan. Happy birthday to you. And for the record, I don't want y'all thinking I give preferential treatment, so if you tell me it's your birthday, I'll do that. I can embarrass you freely in front of you two. So happy birthday, Ivan. Is it 19, 20, 21? 20. 20. No longer a teenager. Look at that. All right, moving on to open discussion. On 7A, this is Voxted Weed 26-012 FY27 Senate Budget Proposal. Now, based on our Constitution, this resolution you will not see tonight. There won't be a first reading, but we have to present what we think our budget for FY27 will be before we make any readings. This is essentially the same. All that we've done is we've taken $500 out of our GAF allocations. That means we're requesting $500 less than what we did last year in FY26. You guys approved that in the spring, except for freshmen, you weren't here. We're asking for $13,000 from GAF. That will cover the salaries and student federation dues, which are non-negotiable. Fundraising, we have that $4,000, which I've raised from $3,500 to $4,000 as of this year, because that's about 30% of our GAF allocation, which I think is a good thing. There's the salaries. They're exactly the same as what they were this year. I think you guys have done tremendous work, and I think that that's something that could be kept. Shed, that's pretty reasonable. That's exactly what it came out to be this year. We already went through Stu Fed. Below there we have some operations, the hot wings. By the way, PR, Senator Smith, I'd like you to get on doing a faculty on fire in the spring here. Sometime in March or April, probably April. CIA, you can see that there. Now it's, I guess, what, Dark Ops, Shadow Ops, SEAL Team 6, something like that. Speaker gifts, name tags, we're looking into that as well, so we budgeted into that, name tags for all of you. Then we have the transition banquet. That comes out to leave us a balance of $1,377, which in theory could go to a rainy day fund or, you know, if there's unexpected expenditures, like there has been this year in some instances with the special session breakfast for the freshmen and all these different things that we can use to help supplement that. VP Weedy, do you have a point?
Yes, so the way this works constitutionally, we have the first reading next week, and we vote on it the week after. Unfortunately, I just got the schedule out for GAFAC, and we will be putting in our request for GAF the day after a week from now. So after our first reading, but before we approve our budget. So if you have comments about that particular line item, the GAF allocations, please give them now or between now and next week. Just please be prompt about that.
So you're saying that next week we will have to suspend the rules and vote to approve this FY27 budget?
Not per se. Okay. We just will be giving our request presentation before we have our budget formalized.
Okay. Can the rules be suspended and voted?
It's constitutionally, that's the order, right? Isn't it?
I believe so.
So suspending the rule just changes Robert's Rules of Order. We can't change the Constitution.
I don't know if the Constitution
Motion.
says it has to be read twice or not.
I don't know. That's what you said. I don't know.
It has to be read one before it's presented for the first time, but the presentation at the first time could be the time that we vote.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I believe we did that in the spring. I'm not, or like last spring when I first got here. Senator Smith.
Does this, as its whole, like with the line items, go out to the students?
VP Weed, do you have any comments on that?
I mean, if you want to talk to your constituents about that, like, that's kind of your job.
This
I'm
is
just-
public knowledge. And
I'm just concerned that we're listing it as CIA and not like its actual name. It's for the students. Is that
No, we
a
didn't contribute to
That's
the
the
contribution to CIA.
Okay, okay. We need to
He's on it.
I'll post them. That we're funding.
put it in
You should, hey, but Senator Smith, that might actually be a way to get people tracked, like, whoa, what is the CIA thing?
That's what I said.
So send it out.
I say send that as is. That's important.
Somebody.
Senator Volkmeister.
I have a few things real quick. Can we get a copy of this? I'm assuming it's in Teams, but are you able to send it out over email so that I have easier access to it?
Yep, I can do that.
Okay, I would really appreciate that. And then second part of that would be with regards to the CIA. I recognize the fact that I'm the one who presented it, and I recognize the fact that I'm on the committee. I was going to ask if before the CIA is officially included on the budget, if the Student Affairs Committee could put together a plan of action for next year so that we don't have a stumble in the dark like what we've had this year and it not working.
Yeah, that'd be up to Student Affairs Committee, yep. You guys can work on that and
That's a good idea.
get it going. That's wonderful. Any other questions, comments before we move forward? Senator Jensen.
Point of personal privilege.
All right. He's going to eat some cake. So, all right. Moving on. We're going to make this real quick. CFO.
Okay, so we held our meeting with CFO Simmons and Aaron from the finance office yesterday. The quick rundown is that for the university budget, they're sitting about 900 credit hours short, so that's about 5% lower than what they anticipated. This is not going to affect things for the long term. They're working the budget to make it work out. Second thing, we talked a little bit about investing. The short rundown about that is that our GAF account and our SOAP reverted accounts aren't currently participating in investing, but they can bring that up to basically the legislative body, and a certain council in the state of South Dakota runs that, and that's up to them to be determined whether it can be participating, and then whether or not that funds from the interest gained from being participating even comes back to us. Past that, I got a supplemental from ChemiCard they'll be looking at here after the meeting, and a report.
All right. Any questions, comments? Senator Meyer.
Could you reach out to Alfredo about where we're at with fundraising? Because we were looking, but we didn't find anything.
Yep.
What the updated numbers are. So.
I'll get you that.
And we can update that spreadsheet too with all the expenses and fundraising goals and everything. VP report. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, Senator Keel.
Oh, maybe I should have waited for my report to bring this up, but you made me think of it. I know GR's been kind of doing fundraising, but it is supposed to be the CFO's shtick. Responsibility.
CFO, point, would be a very good time to shoot me an email by your schedule, good time to meet and see how to transition that back over to us.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions? Moving on, VP report.
I'm gonna say no report, because it's
All right, my report, we'll keep it quick. We met with Mr. Lance Lehman once again and Domingo Rodriguez, who is the chairman of the Sports Complex Committee, or Sports, what do they call it?
Sports Commission.
Sports Commission, I'm sorry. Rapid City Sports Commission, there's a lot of room for, you heard a lot of it with Mayor Salomon there, about the growth opportunity and opportunities for different sports ventures and sports activities in Rapid City. I'd like Senator Stolman to be involved with that, especially as we look in the next couple of weeks at athletic participation with city stuff. I think it could be a pretty interesting thing as the city looks to grow and expand and do all those things that is healthy. Beyond that, let's see, I leave for Germany on Friday. I'm right now contemplating joining this meeting next week virtually at 1 a.m. Germany time, because we have 10, I think it's going to be, it may be smaller, but in my mind we have close to 10 resolutions next week, and that's a pretty hefty load. We may not have that, we may have that, so I'll let you know either way via email. I'll still send out the agenda and all that stuff as usual. It'll just be wicked timing. With that, end of report. Questions, comments? Seeing none, moving on to international.
No report.
Okay. Still ISI on Friday?
Sure.
Okay. That report.
I have an update about Nemo and the guy that wants to kill kids with cancer. So, much against my expertise, this report is going to be uplifting and charitable. To Dean Joe, son. The point of last week's meeting was just because you've had a roadblock doesn't mean you have to roll over and take it. Reach out to the resources you have. And we have an excellent resource with Dean Joe. He reached out and talked to the shakers and movers of the mighty town of Nemo, and he made a positive direction for the club. So I can't guarantee, and I don't know if he can guarantee, success on everything you bring to him, but he seems really good at his job, as played out by history, so thank you. And we will definitely be keeping you in the loop, because this is extremely interesting for everybody. So,
all right. Questions, comments for Senator Hill?
There you go.
Seeing none, moving on to, excuse me, VP Lee.
Any progress with partnering with our RDC friends?
I looked to my left and my right and didn't see him, so we'll keep reaching out. We have our vet meeting tomorrow, so we'll probably be covering that and Nemo and anything else we decide. We'll let you know.
All right, we'll collaborate via email. Graduate report, please.
Yeah, we have a graduate report. Okay, I do want to thank you guys all for passing that graduate report. I know that they're going to really appreciate it. It is not exclusively just graduates in that club, which should really help out with the undergraduate collaboration and communication between the two departments, I guess you would kind of call it. But that will also open up another source for the next graduate senator to be able to have more graduates that they can reach out and talk to. Simply, I have found that it's extremely difficult to really be able to reach out and talk to everyone. Speaking of communication, wanting to work out and figure out a way for clearer, safer communication. A lot of the grad students, I know I've kept bringing this up and I will continue to bring this up, they're scared to come forward because they have no protection. There is retaliation from professors and faculty when they say or do something that they don't like. Just as much as you guys try to not trigger your professors right before an exam. Well, this is constant. and retaliation if it does occur. So I kind of want to see what can happen. I'm going to look at seeing if I can get the graduate dean of students to come in as per Clive's request. And I'm going to be working on figuring out a way to have graduate students be able to voice their opinions, concerns, anything. More anonymously, they have been concerns about what we have currently set up, so figuring out a way to get that going. Other than that, end of the report.
Senator Meyer?
Can I give my report early?
Yeah.
I gotta get going.
Yep. GR report, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we've been moving along. I think we're doing real steady on fundraising. We got the new directives that we're going. Just a lot of stuff with the city. I think Nathan said there's one weird bill that came out, but it's nothing that really pertains to us, and we're not really going to do anything with that. But we're going to be doing a lot with trying to get mines represented in the community, kind of like Dr. Candy said, and then doing some cool things with the Record 250 and all that. Ivan wanted you guys, if you haven't, just take a moment while you're listening to everybody else, just fill out that poll that he sent out for the trivia night. It'll be fun. Do it. It'll take like a few minutes. I don't think there's anything else.
Okay, questions, comments for Senator Meyer before he takes off? Seeing none, thank you, Senator Meyer. Non-chat report.
Did the first Scholarship of the Week post to promote the scholarship database, and so I'll continue that weekly and a report.
All right, questions, comments? Senator Keel.
Do you want a graduate senator to exist? I mean, non-trad senator.
Do I want
that?
Shots fired.
Okay. Yeah. Like, you know, we were talking about numbers wise.
Yeah, I'm waiting on still haven't gotten the new update.
VP Wade, I have some.
Okay, so you're waiting on that.
Yes, I haven't gotten anything.
VP Wade.
Okay. Yeah.
So, they had a very pleasant conversation with a fellow from Institutional Research. I feel like we should have talked to him a little while ago because he has all the answers. There are about 80 folks currently who started at Lyons at 24 years of age or older. If we think that's a demographic that's large enough to want to represent, which I personally think so, then
yeah,
that's 80 individuals. And these include people that transfer, people who come in with no credits, all of that. That's just anyone who starts at 24 years old or older.
Dean DeLugos?
And just to clarify, that's not including graduate, not including international, not including military connected. So undergraduate, yes. And unless he calculated that wrong.
When he calculated that, I think that was just purely 24 years old or older.
Well, that wouldn't make sense because we've got more graduate students. We got like 500 graduate students.
Undergrads, entering the undergraduate program.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The number we were waiting for on Friday was what I just said. Undergraduate students who are 24 or older, but not international, not military connected, not graduate, because you guys are already represented.
Senator Kent.
Yeah, so did we get that email list? Or?
Well, no.
So,
you just went and talked to him.
I just went and talked to him.
Yeah. Okay.
The difficult part is actually excluding the veterans. So, and you made a fair point, which is, if you're a veteran and you're a freshman and you're non-traditional,
yeah,
why would you exclude the non-traditional representation if you still have the freshman representation, right? Because I believe currently, my understanding, if you're a freshman as a veteran, say, you would still have that freshman representation. If you're non-traditional and you're a freshman, you would still have that freshman representation. So I think excluding veterans from that count is not only technically infeasible, but also may not make sense. Now, I also have feedback on representing the veterans. According to Jeffrey from Institutional Research, getting just folks who are who individually, personally are veterans is very difficult because the categorization right now in the system is anyone who's military adjacent. So your spouse could be in the military, you might be a son or daughter of someone who was in the military. All of those are kind of lumped together. And he told me to talk to Derek Flum, who runs the Veterans Center. But then I heard from Shelley that Derek gets his sources for his list from Navigate, which comes from Banff, which is the same resource that Jeffrey is using. All in all, I think the difficult one is not non-traditional, it's veterans.
You're welcome. Is that correct as far as?
Yes, what VP Wee just shared is 100% truthful. Conversations I work directly with Derek, the director of the VRC, and best practice for departments like that for representation is to include dependents. A lot of colleges are moving away from language like Veterans Resource Center, and they're using language Military Connected Resource Center. So I don't want to speak 100% for Derek, but I do think he would agree, yes, including the spouses and which thankfully that's already been set up. Win-win.
VP Wee, Jim, what?
So do you have, our Veterans Center, do you have a comment on that, broadening that demographic and maybe shifting the representation slightly?
The Veteran Resource Center is generally Mill Connected, so I don't have the percentage of like spouse and dependent, but we have a large percentage of spouse and dependent membership.
So you'd be okay with that category being the new definition?
That's the framework I was already operating under, so you didn't have to tell me.
Okay.
Senator Wellmeister.
I was going to ask why we're not including grad and international students within the non-trad for the part of, we don't have wide limit of continuing representation. I mean, I could be represented by graduates, I could be represented by a senior and by a junior, because I'm a third year senior and a graduate, right? So why are we limiting this? So let's expand this. Well, let's just keep it as simple as we can. Let's not need to filter down more.
Senator Smith, do you have a response?
I agree that international probably shouldn't be restricted if they want. But don't grad students already have typically an undergraduate degree or like already have schooling? And that is one of the requirements that we had. So I don't know if we're still thinking about that.
Yeah. Senator Stinson's.
Motion to limit this.
Yep, do I have a second? Nathan? All right. Senator South. All in favor of limited discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Objections? All right, we're done. Constitution.
Well, thanks for passing the EWRI. That's great. We'll be happy about that. I was going to try to write things down, but now I really don't know what anybody wants in terms of representation, how you're going to define these groups in the Constitution, when you want them to be elected, and then also I have an athletic senator now. Maybe. So give me that definition when you want. That one I can handle.
I sent it to you.
Okay, cool.
What is it?
Yep, point of personal privilege over there. Got it. Okay.
So I don't know what you want from me now. And I have to present amendments by next week's meeting.
Yeah. Can you meet tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
10 o'clock.
Okay. I'll shoot you a text.
Bam.
See if that'll work. I'll text you after this. I don't want to waste any.
We'll talk. We can talk.
So here's, I guess, this is what I'd like the rest of you to think about. When you work with your constituents, right? Because you all have friends who, well, that's, I guess, questionable. But you'll have acquaintances, I'll say that, who may be in one of these demographics. I want you to think about them, talk to them about how they can be best represented, and we'll go from there. Think about especially how we define non-traditional. We have a number here that gives us a good benchmark of how many people come in at 24 years old or older. We have our veteran friends and people who are adjacent, military adjacent. Think on that. We'll come back to this. Please give me your feedback directly. You can text me, you can call me, you can send me emails. But we'll be seeing this next week. So give me the feedback very soon.
Also,
Or will.
within my report regarding what we were talking about the budget, I have the quote now. So we're fine. The Senate will give a preliminary draft of the budget 1 week prior to seeing the budget in resolution. The Senate will approve the budget of the Student Association Senate with a 2/3 majority. So what we did today meets our requirements. We can then, next week, we could suspend the rules if we want.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Senator Keel, I appreciate it. Moving on to PR.
I guess we're working on the Hot Wings competition. If you have any preference for any professors, let Aiden know. Other than that, end of report.
EP, have we planned those emails to send out about the 2 bills that we looked at and pulled on?
I've heard nothing about that from Aiden, but I'll let him know.
He said he's
please.
working on the, he
Okay.
texted me that.
Okay.
He's working on the wording of them, he's gonna get them sent out, then he's working on a couple of social media posts in the pipeline as well.
Okay. Yeah, just keep that in mind. Thank you.
All right, we've heard GR, we're wrapping up here, folks. SA.
We had a really good day of tabling.
I'm sorry.
In the library, got a lot of good suggestions. A few of them were even unique, so it's pretty cool. We didn't get to actually have our meeting today, as I had a test during that time, so we weren't able to compile that information. As far as the SEAL Team 6 thing, some homework was divvied out. I'm not sure how much that was done. I had it all on my computer. My computer's dead. I apologize. But yeah. Oh, also I had a good meeting with Katie Walls talking about the free laundry. So also haven't gotten to meet with my committee about that. We will try to build maybe a quick mini presentation about what that might look like and what we need to do going forward. But that will be next meeting. That's all I got.
Okay. Senator Savage, I'm sorry, I missed
Do we
you.
still have a quorum? Or how much is it for a quorum?
Don't ask that.
We don't need to vote on anything anymore.
Oh, that's true.
Just to adjourn. Just to adjourn.
Just start things
Okay,
up.
do I have any announcements from campus or ad hoc committees? Senator Keel.
Yes, we met today, Parking Appeals Committee.
Okay.
And some dreams were crushed and some people's days were made.
All right. Wonderful. An abnormal amount or regular?
Just the usual amount of people thinking that the rules apply to everybody else except me right in this moment.
Okay, sounds good. Any other campus ad hoc committee updates? Stolman.
Athletic, we had our mental wellness night last night. It was a really good success. The mental wellness basketball game will be next Thursday. I highly encourage you and all your constituents to come out and support. We're trying to put together something really important for that game, so please be on the lookout. And whatever you guys hear, just to encourage attendance, please let me know.
VP.
Are those all noted in the calendar?
Yes.
Okay. All right, seeing no other points, you see the upcoming Senate business on line item 14 there. I will not bore you with the details. Do I have any announcements? Announcements. CFO.
Finance committee, go get food and then meet in the Senate office.
Ballmeister.
Yeah, so it's something that I have been looking at. I know that everyone wants to get out of here, but
I'm going to shut you down. Speak.
After BOR came in and talked and mentioned the fact that Sodexo's food contract is going to be up here soon, I have been looking at other food contracts that other providers. If you guys know of any, let me know. I'd love to compile a list. But
Wonderful. All right, moving to Senator Smith.
STS trivia at 5 p.m. on Friday in the slide rule. If I don't see you there, it's on site.
Wonderful. Bush Sheriff.
So I'm glad Jensen had his birthday today. I have mine.
Is this a polymark?
Is this an announcement?
And yeah, I have mine.
What do you got?
What's 22nd? How many days is it from now?
All right. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Motion to adjourn. Who has it? you have a motion?
Chelsea, you better not.
Salcido.
Let's take a I'm leaving. See you next week.
Send a picture of that one.
Do I have a motion? Yes, man. Salcido, all in favor? Aye!